Assalamu alaikum, welcome to my channel Hadith. If you like this video and my efforts, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Reference, Sahihal-Bukhari 238 to 247 in book reference, Book 4, Hadith 104 to 113 USC MSA Web, English, reference, Volume 1, Book 4, Hadith 238 to 247 Chapter 68 Urinating in stagnant water. Narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, "We, Muslims, are the last people to come in the world, but will be the foremost on the day of resurrection." The same narrator said that the Prophet had said, "You should not pass urine in stagnant water which is not flowing, then you may need to wash in it." 69. If a dead body or a polluted thing is put on the back of a person offering salat, prayer, his salat will not be annulled, rejected by Allah. Narrated Abdullah. While Allah's Messenger was prostrating, as stated below. Narrated Abdullah bin Masud. Once the Prophet was offering prayers at the Kaaba. Abu Jahl was sitting with some of his companions. One of them said to the others, "Who amongst you will bring the abdominal contents, intestines, etc., of Bani so and put it on the back of Muhammad when he prostrates?" The most unfortunate of them got up and brought it. He waited till the Prophet prostrated and then placed it on his back between his shoulders. I was watching but could not do anything. I wish I had some people with me to hold out against them. They started laughing and falling on one another. Allah's Messenger was in prostration and he did not lift his head up till Fatima, Prophet's daughter, came and threw that camel's abdominal contents away from his back. He raised his head and said thrice, "O Allah, punish Quraysh." So it was hard for Abu Jahl and his companions when the Prophet invoked Allah against them, as they had a conviction that the prayers and invocations were accepted in this city, Mecca. The Prophet said, "O Allah, punish Abu Jahl, Utbah bin Rabi, Shaibah bin Rabi, Al-Walid bin Utbah, Umayyah bin Khalaf, and Akbar bin al-Mu'at," and he mentioned the seventh whose name I cannot recall. "By Allah in whose hands my life is, I saw the dead bodies of those persons who were counted by Allah's Messenger in the Qalib, one of the wells of Badra." Chapter 70. Spitting or blowing out the nose or doing similar action in one's own garment. Narrated Anas. The Prophet once spat in his clothes. Chapter 71. It is unlawful to perform ablution with nabd, water in which dates or grapes etc. are soaked and is not yet fermented, or with any other intoxicant. Narrated Aisha. The Prophet said, "All drinks that produce intoxication are haram, forbidden to drink." Chapter 72. Washing blood by a woman off her father's face. Narrated Abu Hazim. Sahl bin Sa'd as-Sadi was asked by the people, "With what was the wound of the Prophet treated?" Sahl replied, "None remains among the people living who knows that better than I." Ali used to bring water in his shield and Fatima used to wash the blood off his face, then straw mat was burnt and the wound was filled with it. Chapter 73. Siwak. To clean the teeth with siwak, which is a toothbrush in the form of a pencil from the roots of the arak tree. Narrated Abu Burda. My father said, I came to the Prophet and saw him carrying a siwak in his hand and cleansing his teeth, saying, you, as if he was retching while the siwak was in his mouth. Narrated Hudhaifa. Whenever the Prophet got up at night, he used to clean his mouth with siwak. Chapter 74. To give siwak to the oldest person of the group. Narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, I dreamt that I was cleaning my teeth with a siwak and two persons came to me. One of them was older than the other and I gave the siwak to the younger. I was told that I should give it to the older and so I did. Chapter 75. The superiority of a person who sleeps with ablution. Narrated Al-Bara bin Azib. The Prophet said to me, whenever you go to bed, perform ablution like that for the prayer, lie on your right side and say, Allahumma aslamtu wajhi ilaika, wa afwadu amri ilaika, wa alzatu zahari ilaika ragbata wa rahabtan ilaika. La maja wa la manja minka illa ilaika. Allahumma mantu bikitambika alladhi anzalta wa binabiyika alladhi arsalta, O Allah, I surrender to you and entrust all my affairs to you and depend upon you for your blessings both with hope and fear of you. There is no fleeing from you, and there is no place of protection and safety except with you, O Allah. I believe in your book, the Quran, which you have revealed, and in your Prophet, Muhammad, whom you have sent. Then if you die on that very night, you will die with faith, i.e. or the religion of Islam. Let the aforesaid words be your last utterance, before sleep. I repeated it before the Prophet, and when I reached Allahumma mantu bikitambika alladhi anzalta, O Allah, I believe in your book which you have revealed, I said, wa rasulika, and your apostle. The Prophet said, no, but say, wa nabiyika alladhi arsalta, your Prophet whom you have sent, instead. Bathing, ghusl. Reference, Sahihal-Bukhari 248-257. In book reference, Book 5, Hadiths 1-10. USC MSA Web, English, reference, Volume 1, Book 5, Hadiths 248-257. The statement of Allah Most High: O you who have believed, when you rise to perform prayer, wash your faces and your forearms to the elbows and wipe over your heads and wash your feet to the ankles. And if you are in a state of janabah, then purify yourselves. But if you are ill or on a journey, or one of you comes from the place of relieving himself, or you have contacted women and do not find water, then seek clean earth and wipe over your faces and hands with it. Allah does not intend to make difficulty for you, but He intends to purify you and complete His favor upon you that you may be grateful. And His statement, O you who have believed, do not approach prayer while you are intoxicated until you know what you are saying, or in a state of janabah, except those passing through a place of prayer, until you have washed your whole body. And if you are ill or on a journey, or one of you comes from the place of relieving himself, or you have contacted women and find no water, then seek clean earth and wipe over your faces and your hands with it. Indeed, Allah is ever pardoning and forgiving. Chapter 1. The performance of ablution before taking a bath. Narrated Aisha. Whenever the Prophet took a bath after janab, he started by washing his hands and then performed ablution like that for the prayer. After that he would put his fingers in water and move the roots of his hair with them, and then pour 3 handfuls of water over his head and then pour water all over his body. Narrated Maimunah. The wife of the Prophet, Allah's Messenger, performed ablution like that for the prayer but did not wash his feet. He washed off the discharge from his private parts and then poured water over his body. He withdrew his feet from that place, the place where he took the bath, and then washed them. And that was his way of taking the bath of janab. Chapter 2. Taking a bath by a man along with his wife. Narrated Aisha. The Prophet and I used to take a bath from a single pot called fruk. Chapter 3. Taking a bath with a sa of water or so. 1 sa equals 3 kilograms approximately. Narrated Abu Salma. Aisha's brother and I went to Aisha and he asked her about the bath of the Prophet. She brought a pot containing about a sa of water and took a bath and poured it over her head, and at that time there was a screen between her and us. Narrated Abu Jahl. While I and my father were with Jabir bin Abdullah, some people asked him about taking a bath. He replied, a sa of water is sufficient for you. A man said, a sa is not sufficient for me. Jabir said, a sa was sufficient for one who had more hair than you and was better than you, meaning the Prophet. And then Jabir put on his garment and led the prayer. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet and Maimunah used to take a bath from a single pot. Chapter 4. Pouring water thrice on one's head. Narrated Jubair bin Mut'im. Allah's Messenger said, as for me, I pour water 3 times on my head. And he pointed with both his hands. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah. The Prophet used to pour water 3 times on his head. Narrated Abu Jahl. Jabir bin Abdullah said to me, your cousin, Hassan bin Muhammad bin al-Hanafiya, came to me and asked about the bath of janab. I replied, the Prophet uses to take 3 handfuls of water, pour them on his head and then pour more water over his body. Al-Hassan said to me, I am a hairy man. I replied, the Prophet had more hair than you. Chapter 5. To wash the body parts once only. Narrated Maimunar. I placed water for the bath of the Prophet. He washed his hands twice or thrice and then poured water on his left hand and washed his private parts. He rubbed his hands away and cleaned them, rinsed his mouth, washed his nose by putting water in it and blowing it out, washed his face and both forearms and then poured water over his body. Then he withdrew from that place and washed his feet. Thank you so much for watching and your patience. Please like, share and subscribe my channel.